Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are ready for an exciting video. Why? Because AMC looks incredibly bullish. Despite what people will say, despite some creators giving up on this trade, this movement, whatever you want to call it, AMC looks to be in a better position now that it has been at throughout all of 2022, throughout all of the pain and misery, the good times, the bad times. AMC looks to be in better shape now than throughout all of that. So let's get into everything you need to know on the day today that is going on. The technicals are good. The Ortex data is great, baby. And this is going to set up for a very interesting earnings season out of AMC, guys. So let's get into it. If you guys find value out of the video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I am very sorry if you hear my daughter in this video. Just, it's to the point, what do you do? Single dad, very little help from anyone. So if you hear, I'm done trying to get her to be quiet. That's it. She wants to be around me, so you might hear a little bit. Thank you guys for playing along. Now, let's get into everything you guys need to know. So AMC stock is up 5% on the day. We're up more than that, about 6% to 7%. Earlier in the trading day, towards the end of the day, the markets are starting to slip a little bit, and it's hard to say where we're going to end up closing the day. But I doubt it's going to be a flip into negative territory. It would have to get very bad in the markets in a very short amount of time to see that happen. So granted, what we have seen so far has been very, very bullish. Now, let's get into the Ortex data first things first. But before we do that, the Dow is up 0.66% on the day. The S&P is up 1.07% on the day. And the NASDAQ is up 1.80% here on the day. Now, if we take a look at the Ortex data and go ahead and refresh this so we have the most up-to-date numbers, go ahead to the live short interest, you can see the live short interest of free float is sitting at 22.08%, up 0.5% here today, about 600,000 shares sold short on the day. The amount of shares currently sold short sits at about 114 million. But I think even more exciting than that, and granted that is very exciting, the cost to borrow rates heading into earnings. For one, you've always seen a rally with the cost to borrow rates in the hundreds of percent ranges. Sometimes it's 50%, sometimes it's 150%. But you have always seen a rally to cause cost to borrow rates to drop. They don't just tend to fall, at least on AMC, all by themselves. So the cost to borrow rate, the average is 244.23%, cost to borrow max 305%, cost to borrow minimum 193%. So incredibly high numbers that we are seeing, and it's been this way for weeks now. You've also seen the short interest basically going straight up. I mean, it's a lot more slow and steady than the cost of borrow rates, but it's went from 19%, 18% just a month or two ago, now to a fresh high for all of 2022. You have not been this high in any period in 2022, and you are at the same short interest levels that you were at before the June rally. And when we get to the technicals, you will understand that you are at the same split adjusted price as you were before the June rally. So I think that is very exciting to point out. Nonetheless, the interactive brokers short availability has us at 0 shares available to be lent out right now. 97.31% cost to borrow rate. So incredibly high. Now, the interesting flow sentiment on the day, you are seeing more calls placed, but it's still overwhelmingly bearish on the day. 88 orders totaling $16.71 million, positive order value of 12%. But you are seeing a lot more calls, again, being placed here on the day. So that is definitely a positive thing rather than a negative thing. We're used to seeing like 3% positive order value on any given day. So it's a little bit better than what it has been over the last couple of weeks. And that's really a sore spot within all of this data, you know, getting better and better It's the option activity that has not gotten better. Now, if we take a look at the Stock O tracker data and the actual numbers that we are seeing, 31,000 calls that are in the money, 71,000 calls that are out of the money. Now, puts that are in the money sits at about 9,000. Puts that are out of the money is at 55,000. So you're not exactly seeing the 500,000 open interest for calls that are out of the money like you seen last week, but you are still seeing decent option activity for this week, and it looks like some people obviously rolled over their positions from last week into this week. So that is an encouraging thing to see, but I don't really think a lot of this next rally is going to be gamma, right? I don't think it's going to be a lot of hedging from the market makers. That's obviously going to play a role, but I think this is more so going to be a short squeeze and people actually buying back the stock that they sold short. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next video that will come out roughly about 6 p.m. So definitely stay tuned for that and hit the subscribe button if you want to hear why I am personally so bullish on AMC. That's the whole premise of that video, why I am bullish on AMC, guys. Now, let's get into some quick things that are happening in the markets today. There's actually not a lot that is happening, so that might be surprising to a lot of people because usually when you're up this much on any given day, there's a reason behind it. Not so much today. So if you take a look at CNBC, yeah, and actually the markets are starting to drop a lot more heading into the close. You have Spotify that cut 6% of its workforce. That's not really a reason for the markets to rally like this. Microsoft announces new multi-billion-dollar investment in GPT maker OpenAI. This is not new. They've been investing in that company for a while now. Amazon expands air cargo service to India even as company cuts costs. That's not really a reason to rally. You didn't get any Fed speakers today because you are in the blackout period. You didn't get any economic data today. So why is the markets actually rallying today? Well, from my perspective here, the markets are rallying because of Netflix earnings, right? And a lot of positioning. You've seen a lot of tax loss harvesting in 2022. And now really that 30-day period in which when you sell a stock and tax loss harvest it to when you can buy that stock back, you are at that 30-day window, right? You've pretty much, at this point, you're able to buy back the stock that you tax loss harvested. So I think that is the reason why the markets are going higher. But I think a lot of it is just purely anticipation of Microsoft earnings. So Microsoft is going to be reporting earnings tomorrow and after hours. Pre-market tomorrow, you are going to get Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, Lockheed Martin, Halliburton, GE, Raytheon Technologies, 3M, Union Pacific, DR Horton, and Danaher. I never heard of that company before, but you're going to get some big earnings tomorrow morning, but then Microsoft, that is going to be the key, guys. So that's going to be important, and there's a lot of expectations based off of what Microsoft is going to say. It's either going to save the day, continue this market rally, or it is going to feed us down lower. Now, on the S&P 500 here today, it's important to point out that you did break above the key level, and she's just destroying things, but there's literally nothing I can do if I want to get this video out to you guys. So just thank you for bearing with me. It's one of the most frustrating things in the world. It's just frustrating. You don't have any help with this. Mom's not in the picture. Bad situation. But nonetheless, guys, let's stay on topic because it's been a hard day today, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. So the S&P 500, we've been at this downtrending line for a while now. We've been back and forth with this, getting rejected at major levels for multiple times throughout 2022, and here today is no different. You did break above this, and now you are coming down quite a bit, but this was really the first day where you got some real steam above this level. So it was encouraging to see. We'll have to see where everything plays out by the end of the day, but if Microsoft earnings are good, this will set you up from no longer being in a prolonged downtrend to now being in an uptrend. This level, this line right here, is showing you the downtrend. So if we get rejected hard off of Microsoft earnings, That's going to change the game potentially for this whole earnings season heading into next week, where you get Apple, Amazon, Google, a lot of large tech companies, and the Fed meeting, which is going to happen on February 1st, guys. So it's very important to pay attention to the technicals on the S&P right now as well, because AMC reports earnings February 28th. So whatever happens in the markets from now until then, it's going to set us up for AMC earnings. And I think AMC's earnings, I should say, is really going to be the thing that could cause shorts to cover, specifically around profits and free cash flow. If AMC has free cash flow, can even post a net profit, guys, that's what the markets have traded off of in 2022. If you've been even slightly in negative territory, slightly losing money, your stock has not been rewarded on earnings. If you're slightly making money, you don't even have to be that profitable, but if you're making some level of profits, that has been a massive game changer throughout 2022, and 2023 is going to be no different. So back to the technicals on AMC. You're in this downtrending line. You're very close to it at this current level. About $6.30 per share, give or take, is when you will break out above that, and that is what could change AMC's trend from a prolonged downtrend into, again, an uptrend. Now, another important level is this line right here, where you rallied through in January of 2021, came down, came above it, found a lot of support at this level for literally months, from, what is this, February until the June rally. You found support at this line, and you never went back to that line, obviously, ever since the June rally, until recently, until, what was this, October 13th. Around the time we were hitting the lows in the markets. That's the first time you touched it, found support. You touched it again on November 9th, found support, and you went through that rally in November. And then you came down, found a little support at this level in December, and then you flushed under it, hit the low, and now you're back above it, finding some incredible support. Even here today, if we make this picture a little bit bigger, you can see the wick for the low of the day was around this line. So the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row, you have found support at this level, and this is the split adjusted price to say that this is the same price we were at before the last major rally in June. So for people to say, you know, bad things about AMC at this level, I think it's showing some very promising signs. And even with the Ortex data, the cost to borrow rates, the short interest, is virtually the same now as it was back in June. Now, this is a little bit of a different market, though. This market is relentless. It's unforgiving. You could fall to new lows by next week. In 2021, that wasn't really the case when AMC went through this June rally. So I think it makes it a lot more, call it 50-50 for lack of a better word. If the markets are just getting destroyed on one hand, it might help squeeze out shorts out of their positions if they get margin called, and might help them cover on AMC positions. Or it could have the adverse effect, and you could see everything get beaten down. And we have a lot of time from now until February 28th when we get AMC earnings, guys. So that is going to be all for this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. That is it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.